Grand Existence. Grand Existence. Thank you for joining me on this live stream, or if you're watching it in the future on the recording in the past, welcome to the future past. I'm JD. You know it. This is my pharmacopoeia. JD's pharmacopoeia. So much is going on in recent times that I just got to get on here and just break one thing down real quick, because ultimate reality is coming to the collective. We are going to figure it out. And as I was trying to tell my brothers the other day, I said, we're going to figure it out, man. We're going to figure out what's going on. They're like, Nick, what the fuck are we going to figure out? We're going to figure out how the higher intelligence, how the creator of this reality, arguably a simulation, is creating something out of nothing. That's the whole shabam right there. Now let me make sure is okay. I got sound. I'm definitely live. There's been a recent advancement in the progression of the scientific quantum mechanics experiments designed to test the validity of the simulation hypothesis as proposed by Thomas Campbell, the NASA physicist, consciousness researcher of over 40 years, and author of the book, My Big TOE. Let me go grab the book. Author of the book, My Big TOE, Theory of Everything. The dude's a comedian because he's got the toe literally on the front. Now, as you can see, it is a theory that unifies philosophy, physics, and metaphysics. Now, I've met the author, right? I got him to sign my book. I'm going to show you that very briefly just to prove it, so you don't think I'm just some dude on the internet giving commentary on something he's never experienced in reality. The man signed my book, okay? The answer is love. It's come to my attention that Joe Rogan has brought up Thomas Campbell and the fact that Joe is reading My Big TOE right now. He says he's about halfway through it. He says it's a strange book. Now, I'm just going to watch this little segment here from the Joe Rogan Experience, number 2241. We're going to watch it together, a small clip, until he gets to that point. Now, it's with Rick Strassman. If you don't know who Rick Strassman is, you are missing out. He wrote The God Molecule, DMT, DMT, the spirit molecule, and he postulates in it that it is the God molecule. Now, Rick Strassman is famous not just for writing this book and then producing the documentary back in like the early 2010s, I believe. He was the first man after the dark ages of psychedelic science, of hallucinogenic, that's an outdated term now, but of psychedelic chemistry, psychedelic medicine. There was a dark age for a very long time in the latter half of the 1900s. And when the federal ban on studying psychedelics was lifted, Strassman was the very first medical doctor to run clinical studies on the effects of intravenous DMT, in which, as we know now, is one of the top 3 most powerful psychedelics on the planet. We know that it is endogenous to the human body. It's produced in the pineal gland. It's produced in the lungs. It's produced throughout the endocrine system. It's produced especially so when you're dreaming. It's produced when you're born, when you die. I consider DMT to be the mystical molecule. It is, some people say that it is what creates the perception of reality inside of your consciousness. The chemical structure is just one tweak away from serotonin, one tweak away from melatonin, one tweak away from the structure that is the indole alkaloid, which is the moiety of the DMT, of the serotonin, the melatonin. It is a universally recognized molecule that plays critical roles in all sorts of life, all sorts of transformative processes. You find it in the chrysalis of the butterfly. You find it in the electric eel. Am I still? Oh, what happened? Hold up. Someone went down. Oh no, we're good. Sorry, I just lost my screen for a second. We find this molecule everywhere, and when you smoke it, it transports you into another reality where you see things with your mind, not with your eyes. You see entities. You have communications with intelligences that impart all sorts of lessons. They give you wisdom. They teach. You find teachers, and this is the molecule that's in ayahuasca. It's the molecule that is in yopo beans, Anadenthera. I can never pronounce the genus. It is basically the same molecule that's in the Sonoran Desert toad, Bufo alvarius. It's a slightly different modification, but it's the same fundamental moiety that brings about a very similar experience. At any rate, Strassman is a legend. He has broken open the floodgates. Oh, fucking here we go with this issue here with my camera. Sorry, bear with me, y'all. One day I'm gonna figure it out. Anybody knows anything about how to fix the cameras? Okay, yeah, we're good. We're live again. All right. So Strassman is a legend in the field. We owe him a lot because he opened the floodgates to psychedelic therapies, psychedelic sciences, which are just undergoing a renaissance now here in the Western world. So this is an ancient medicine, an ancient, quote, drug that has been with humanity since the very beginning. And arguably, if you're familiar with the stoned ape theory, which you should be, is that these types of medicines are what gave primitive animals, if you believe in evolution, if you believe in that kind of discovery of human language and that epistemology, that we discovered language, we discovered mathematics and architecture and basically form culture in a very small increment of time, that the human brain underwent an evolution that was so rapid, so exponentially profound, unlike the millions of years that categorized evolution before us. I'm talking about early Indus Valley, Hindu Kush periods. We spontaneously generated higher thinking. And it is proposed that consciousness, free will, sentience is attributed to the intake of these psychedelic compounds, which we attribute. Gotta use the same word twice. That we can give credit to creating what we know now as the human spirit. So, without any further ado, well, maybe actually with a little bit more. So that's Strassman. We all know who Joe Rogan is. Well, let's just watch the video, and then maybe I'll be able to collect my thoughts once we're on a track. So here's Joe Rogan with Rick Strassman talking about those things that, Joe Rogan is good at talking about. So let me position myself down.
And then some people, have you ever wondered, like, the root of some things like that? Like, I used to like wholly dismiss ghosts as a young man. Mm-hmm. When I was a boy, I believed in them because I was young and dumb. And then as I got older, I was like, maybe there's a reason why if I've never experienced something and then I do experience it, how am I ever going to explain this to people where it's going to make any sense to someone else? that hasn't experienced it before. This episode is brought to you by the
on your subjective experience, right?
Right.
And it's one that a lot of people share. And so you can compare notes. It's like dreaming. You can't really prove that you dreamed or that you were in a dream state.
right.
Yeah, it's a personal experience. Yeah, but it's a common one. So you can compare notes. I think that's how it works.
Haven't there been studies done? There's been something done where they've taken people in altered states and had them go into a room where they experienced, they weren't connected, they weren't communicating, but they experienced incredibly similar environments. I think that's in my Big TOE. You know, that The Theory of Everything book?
Mm-hmm. I'm not familiar
I think
with
it's
it.
Thomas Campbell. Is that who wrote that? Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah.
I'm in the middle of that right now.
The Big TOE.
Yeah.
Is
It's a very strange book.
Yeah, that's the name of the book or the name of the experiment?
That's the name of the book. It's my Big Theory of Everything. You know, TOE as for Theory of Everything.
Oh, I see. Okay. But it has a picture of a toe on the cover.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you were doing the DMT studies, it's kind of a similar thing, right? Like if you had never experienced that and someone was trying to describe it to you, it would sound completely like nonsense, just like a ghost would.
Right. Or even a dream to somebody who had never dreamed.
Right.
Okay, that's really all we need to see. So what has happened is that Joe Rogan is reading this book. This book is a hypothesis. It is a theory. It is a set of observations from one man's mind that he wrote down and tried to make sense of. It is first and foremost a theory of consciousness. And this is a physicist we're talking about. So if you know what physicists do, they observe things in reality and then they model them. They try to understand them. They try to put them in an explanatory blueprint. That's the principal goal of science, is to say, why does this thing work this way? And what's the simplest way to explain it? So I met Tom Campbell, as said, 2017, November, at the Monroe Institute. This is the man who founded the Monroe Institute. And if you know what happened at the Monroe Institute with Bob Monroe, you know that they developed a system of consciousness expansion termed the Gateway Process, also the Gateway Program. And if you're not familiar with the lore, the CIA investigated the Gateway Process. They sent an agent to the Monroe Institute to report an assessment on the Gateway experience as Bob Monroe taught it. Now, maybe I don't know if I'm going to read any of this, but you can go and just read Google Gateway Voyage, Gateway Process, Gateway Program, plus CIA. You'll find this is the CIA website, their synopsis of the entire thing. Now, they break down the nature of consciousness, of hemisync, which is binaural beats. Tom Campbell invented the binaural beat technology when he was studying with Bob Monroe. So I've gone over this before in some of my other videos, but Bob Monroe wrote 3 books, Journeys Out of Body. That's when he popularized the term out-of-body experience, which we funnily call UBI. And then he wrote Far Journeys, which was his personal study, him hiring a handful of scientists to study the phenomenon of the out-of-body, to try and figure out if he was having hallucinations, was he crazy, Is there any way to truly understand it? Tom Campbell was a part of that collection of scientists. There were a few others. They're less known nowadays. They've gone and done their own thing. Campbell went on to work for NASA for 40 years as a nuclear physicist. So the CIA went in there and they broke it all down. This is really, you can go here and you can learn the secrets of the universe are on the CIA website. Are you going to be able to take it all in and grok it yourself? It's an intensely personal decision, but you can see the kind of stuff they're talking about just from these pictures. Like, we got the absolute to infinity, mapping out the Planck distance to the Planck time. It goes on. It's all about the nature of consciousness and the real nature of the universe, which they describe as a toroidal hologram of consciousness, also known as the cosmic egg. Here we've got a little bit of a larger picture. You got a white hole, which serves as the nucleus. At any rate, so you see there's been some interest in Tom Campbell's work by prying eyes. I don't know if you want to call them prying, but by some very significant investigators, needless to say. But nothing really came of this. I mean, the CIA did develop a psi program, which is talked about in the movie The Men Who Stare at Goats. And, well, life goes on. This was what, 1983 this was published. Bob Monroe has since passed away. Thomas Campbell carries on the legacy. And further, in his scientific pursuit to understand the out-of-body experience and the nature of consciousness, well, he began giving intensive courses where he taught his theory to others and how to apply it in their own life. He taught them all around the world. He traveled for fucking 20 years teaching people how to do this. Teaching, lecturing on his theory. I went to that theory at the Monroe Institute. I'm from Virginia. It happened to be in Virginia. And I couldn't give up the opportunity because I was reading this book and I was halfway through and I was just like, man, I got to ask this guy some questions. I gotta feel his heart, make sure he's not one of these robot aliens. I really had to know if he was legit, just personally. And so I went there, I took the courses, I asked the questions, and then at the end of the day, said goodbye. But before I said goodbye, they're asking for more money. And I'm like, man, I already paid to be here. I'm not giving you any more money. I was still a little young, naive. I wasn't fully convinced myself. But they said they're collecting money for physics experiments that Campbell produced. Now, here comes the greatest scientific revelations that will ever happen on our planet until a new, better theory of the universe is discovered. There hasn't been one since the special theory of relativity. Here enters the simulation theory and testing it. Tom created a GoFundMe, raised a bunch of money to get a series of what was initially 17 experiments, get them into testing by, it's been a long journey, man. He's like calling out to different colleges and different institutions to try to get this thing accepted and adopted by some physicists who are willing to complete the experiments. Well, he ended up landing on the California Institute of Technology, otherwise known as Caltech, which is the leading physics institution in the United States, arguably the world. Also, you have the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, which was the precursor to NASA, which also has some great history in terms of consciousness and what else is going on in the mystical nature of the Western tradition. And so It was adopted. It was adopted by Caltech. And what these experiments do, they are novel quantum mechanic experiments that are variations on the double slit experiments that attempt to explain and predict currently unpredictable phenomena given the standard model of physics and given any and all other interpretations of quantum mechanics. As I'm sure you know them all, you've got the Copenhagen interpretation and the Bohm, I forget what it's called, the Bohm interpretation. You've got the von Neumann-Wigner interpretation. You've got the many worlds interpretation. There are many different interpretations of the quantum mechanics double slit experiments that happened in the 1940s. The leading one is the Copenhagen interpretation. However, what this experiment does now, I'm no expert physicist, but they sum it up. You can talk to Grok or ChatGPT about it. The first one, it has already been completed, y'all. They whittled them down to 5 experiments. They're all detailed here. This is the peer-reviewed, published experimental proposal, and I assume that they are waiting to complete all 5 experiments before they publish the initial results. But what we have is novel. This is how science works. You generate an experiment that's never been done that would be potentially unexplainable given the certain initial, given the prevailing worldview, which is the standard model, and then quantum theory. The thing is that we call it the standard model, but it does not account for much of the phenomena of the world, but it is the prevailing physics theory nonetheless. Doesn't explain the double slit experiments. So what Tom has done is taken variations on the double slit experiments and the erasure experiments and has exploited them with his theory of everything, his theory of consciousness, to test the validity and the explanatory and the prediction power of the theory. He's applying his theory to predict quantum phenomena in a way that's never been done before. And if these predictions hold weight, what that means for science is that we have a more accurate model of reality that is going to prevail on the planet. Once it becomes standardized in the scientific literature, it's going to take a while to saturate. Like science dies by one old scientist dying at a time. Luckily, they're mostly dead now, and Campbell's the only one on the scene making any real experimentally generated data with novel theories. Everybody else is just a philosopher. They just think. They got thought experiments. They never actually run anything. This man already ran the experiments. I'll tell you what I know about the first one. You take this certain type of material which has a, as we currently understand, fundamentally random process embedded into it. You shine a light through this material and you expect that the refraction of this light will be deflected randomly, unpredictably. That's the current model. Now, with the theory of consciousness, the Big TOE, it predicts which direction that light will reflect. Okay? So meditate on that, predicting the direction of light. Now, I don't know if that means anything to you, but what it means is that we're now able to take something that we thought was random and foretell it. Tell the future, if you will. Now, if you read the book, it's all about telling the future. It's about divination. It's about time travel. It's about alternate dimensions. It's about the cosmology of the cosmos and the explanation of the origins of consciousness, which is posited as fundamental. This is a diametrically opposed theory to the reigning model, which states that consciousness is an illusion and reality is generated based on particles. It's built up through the interaction of physical particles. It says physics, chemistry, biology, life at the top. This says no, the life that's at the top, the consciousness is at the top, it's actually on the bottom, and that consciousness informs physics, informs chemistry, informs biology. So this is a complete inversion of the modern materialist worldview. And this isn't just good for science. This is good for everybody because it explains where our souls come from. This is not about physics. This is not about experiments. This is not about selling books. This is about understanding the nature of who and what you truly are as a living entity existing miraculously within what we're calling the universe. How did something come from nothing? Campbell provides the roadmap to go back in time through consciousness to observe the past within this, quote, simulated virtual reality. What is the thing with virtual realities? They have databases. So the Akashic record is the database. It holds every actualized past reality state, and it holds unactualized reality states or probabilistically actualized reality states, meaning everything that did happen and everything that could have happened. So I know this is a lot to take in. I'm trying to give you everything I know about the simulation theory in words right now, but the point is that Tom Campbell is going to be on the Joe Rogan Experience, and it may be the single greatest interview that the world will know. And Lord willing, as long as God wills it, or the larger consciousness system allows it, this is time wave zero. This is the singularity that they speak of. This is the transcendental object at the end of time. We are going to go through an evolution of consciousness that rises our species out of the ignorance of what happens after death. We currently don't know. The model explains what happens after death, where you are before you're born, what your destiny is in between. Now the answer is evolution. To reduce your entropy, to become more orderly internally, and to become love. That's where the theory leads us. How does it get there? It's logically derived. Does Joe know what the hell is going on? I don't know. He may or may not know. I mean, it's funny in the video, he's like, oh, what's that book? What's that book with the toe? And, the experiments where the two people are in separate rooms, talking about it like he doesn't know. It's just like Alex Jones said in that interview. He's like, every time he brings up a subject, Joe Rogan knows all about it, but he plays dumb because he knows how to speak to his audience, I guess is all I'm trying to say. But anyways, if, that wasn't explanatory enough, and I know it wasn't, I urge you very much to go out and buy the fucking book and read it or listen to it. It's free on Google Scholars. It will change your life. It will tell you everything you already knew, but nobody's ever explicitly told you. And when you have somebody tell you what you already know intuitively, your intuition becomes so much more stronger that you are actually able to live rightfully. You're actually able to live in accordance with the truth and the intuition and the guiding principles within us that guide us towards greater states of reality, greater states of self, greater states of evolution. It will allow the expansion of our consciousness into What is currently unknown. It's not unknown, because again, you intuitively know it, but nobody's ever told us. So we need somebody to tell us. We need somebody to tell us which way's forward, which way's backwards. That's about it. Like Jesus said. He said, I've come to teach you about the visible world and the invisible world, and to tell you what is, what has come, and what will come to be, so that you may understand the perfect humanity, the race of the perfect humanity. I butchered that. Let me figure that quote out real quick, and I'm gonna end on that because I had to share. Y'all look forward to the interview. It's coming. It's gonna watch. Some of y'all may watch it and then come back in time. I may be speaking to the future right now. Be goddamn amazed if anybody watches this video. Maybe one day I'll get some viewers. Probably not. I have come to tell you what is, what has come, and what will be. Full quote. Jesus. No. That's Gnostic Jesus. Aha. Now I have come to teach you what is, and what was, and what will come to pass, that you may know the things which are not revealed in those which are revealed, and to teach you. Oh, I fucked it up. This is not, that's like a translation. I want the other translation. Bear with me. Here it is. Okay. Just got to get this soundbite in. Let me get this over here. We'll get, here we go. I know nobody's going to watch this video, so I'm just making it fancy so that I can clip this later, try to get people's attention. Because look, when the experiments unfold and the scientific community goes into uproar about the new model of reality, y'all are going to be pissed that I didn't try harder to explain it to you. So look, on testing the simulation theory, Jesus said, I have come to teach you about what is, and what was, and what will be, in order for you to understand the invisible world and the world that is visible, and the immovable race of perfect humanity. Raise your head, understand my lessons, share them with any others who have received the Spirit, who are from the immovable race of perfect humanity. That's what this is about, y'all. That's what this is about. Let me read the abstract. Can the theory that reality is a simulation be tested? We investigate this question based on the assumption that if the system performing the simulation is finite, i.e. has limited resources, then to achieve low computational complexity, such a system would, as in a video game, render content, aka reality, only at the moment that information becomes available for observation by a player, and not at the moment of detection by a machine that would be part of the simulation and whose detection would also be part of the internal computation performed by the virtual reality server before rendering content to the player. Guided by this principle, we describe conceptual wave-particle duality experiments aimed at testing the simulation theory. Does a bear shit in the woods? Actually, sorry. Does a tree fall in the woods make a sound if nobody's around to hear it? No. No, it does not. So that's all I have for now. Y'all go watch the full interview if you. Oh, and you know what? That's not all I have for now. I'm gonna keep going just for a little bit more because I got a cool little story here. If you go to jdsPharmacopoeia.com, I messed it up. jdsPharmacopoeia.com. Oh no, I got the back end again. There we go. Third time's charm. If you go to jdsPharmacopoeia.com, you scroll down here to the library. You can also go up to the tab at the top here. And you go to this blog right here, Psychedelic History, Shulgin, Nichols, JD, and DIPT. You'll find a cool little story about my educational history and the connection, the fine, ethereal, golden thread that connects me, my chemistry teacher from NMU, Dr. David Nichols, who she calls Dave, Alexander Shulgin, and Richard Strassman all together. You'll find the link there, because David Nichols taught my teacher, who taught me, who worked with Strassman to synthesize the DMT in the LSD for his clinical trials. David Nichols was the only official chemist during the Prohibition that had the record, that had the permits by the DEA to synthesize these class 1 psychedelics. So he is an important figure in this revolution of consciousness that I highly urge you all to go watch his masterclass on psychedelics that he delivered to NMU and the Q&A by the students afterwards. It is absolutely fantastic. And yeah, I was just talking to the archivist at Purdue because I had wanted to know more about this molecule here, 5-methoxy-DIPT, and aka diisopropyl-tryptamine, and this is the original paper published by Shulgin on the discovery of these two DMT type analogs, and these are really interesting because they are orally active. So you see two orally active tryptamine analogs with central nervous system activity. That's interesting because DMT is not orally active. You commonly need an adjunct, a monoamine oxidase inhibitor, to prevent the breakdown and allow the absorption into the gut. And so if you scroll down to the very bottom down here, you can see the originally published paper by Shulgin and this other guy. You see he got his address right here, super cool, of DIPT, diisopropyl-tryptamine, and 5-MeO-DIPT. Their characterization, their the chemistry, and the thresholds, and the subjective experience that they gained from them. Very fascinating read. There's one of hundreds of articles like these. As we know, Shulgin was a legend. So anyways, that's all I gotta say. Look, the simulation hypothesis, it's coming true. It's coming to reality. Hopefully YouTube is still a thing in the future and people can come back and see this, because this is going into the archive of JD's Pharmacopoeia for sure. And I'm going to be here talking a lot more in the future. So y'all just, get tuned. I'm going to really hone my message and get focused, but there's just so much exciting shit happening in the world. I can't even contain it all, and I'm just blurting out things I know they don't even make sense to anybody. And yeah, that's it. If you want to support this work, go to jdspharmacopoeia.com. Buy some plant medicine. I just opened up a few new products. Of course, I've got consultations always going. And I just opened this new special deal for $99. You can get 9 plant medicines of your choosing from the Pharmacopoeia. And what you do is you add this add this product to your cart, and then you go back to the apothecary and you can pick 9 different plant medicines of your choosing. And you can even just reach out to me through my email or phone number listed on this website and tell me 9 that you want that may not be listed up here. But any 9 plant medicines, it can be the tobacco, it can be the concentrate, it can be the herbal blends, the Centella asiatica, the black cohosh. Oh shit, fuck. Oh damn, I'm not even showing you guys. This is like so fucked up. I'm really bad at making these videos, and I just hope you're here with me. I'm gonna try that again. Anyways, that is all I have to say about Joe Rogan, the simulation hypothesis, Thomas Campbell, Rick Strassman, myself, and psychedelic medicines. If you want to support this work, I would highly encourage you to go to jdspharmacopoeia.com, scroll down and click this little plant medicine button and check out some of the new products I've gotten here and some of the new deals. Of course, I'm always doing consultations, and I am trying out this new product here. You can get it's a bundle, it's a collection for a ridiculously, insanely cheap price. I'm really trying to drive sales and make my own living. So if you guys want to support a sovereign being and support yourself at the same time and disempower big pharma, now's your opportunity to build your own apothecary with this special deal for $99. You can choose 9 potent spagyric plant medicines. They don't even got to be spagyrics. They can be anything from the store. So all you do is you add this to your cart, and then you go back to the pharmacopoeia or the apothecary, and then you pick out 9 different plant medicines. It could be anything. Tongat Ali, you can add that to your cart. You can add, the concentrate. You can add the cordyceps, the tobacco, the herbal blends, anything. All these 9 plant medicines. I'm trying to help you establish your first apothecary or strengthen your current apothecary for a good deal, and help us get into a higher state of consciousness, a higher state of physical being, and into understanding more of what we truly are. Of course, there are more than just plant medicines. There are therapeutic herbs. There are shamanic herbs. There are dream beans. There are dream roots. There are dream everything. So go check it out. Store's abundant. Reach out if you need anything. You can find my phone number and email down here, and I'll be taking any questions that you may have. Again, thank you very much. We look forward to the interview with We're going to get a live commentary for sure when it drops. I have inside contacts with Tom Campbell's camp, and Joe Rogan has reached out to the Campbell camp and invited him on the show for a podcast. So I'm excited about that. It's going to give us excuse me. He is I think Joe is either really going to grill him and ask him these personal questions and inquire into his perspective, or Tom may just steamroll the whole thing as he normally does and just lay down the law of the Big TOE, the Book of Consciousness. Nobody really knows how it's going to turn out. I think it's going to turn out great. enlightening. It's going to be a learning experience for sure. It's going to be an evolutive experience. It'll be a dose of truth for the collective consciousness. And it could just totally flip things on fire. So stay tuned. We'll be here more. And thank you for joining. If you made it here, if you listened through the whole thing and you're here now, hit me up. And I'm going to, I don't know, send you some gifts or something, because I know this was slightly schizophrenic in nature, but that's the fun of the whole